Earth and Front is a movie full of Russian propaganda. I went to cinema to see a documentary movie about the war in Ukraine. I expected to see something that represents Ukraine and Ukrainian people from the worst side. But what do I really see? I was shocked when I heard the phrases that said Ukrainian soldiers that fight against Russian aggression and propaganda. This phrase was sort of in a joking manner. It turns out Moscow said you lie. And absolutely serious second one. Chochly and Russians. I think with the first one everything is clear. But turning to the second one. You know that the word hohly is the derogatory term that Russians use towards Ukrainians. And what's more interesting, this kind of offensive word wasn't used by this Ukrainian soldier in the same sentence towards Russians. So again, Ukrainian soldiers said hohly and Russians, but towards Ukrainians, he used the word hohly, and towards Russians, just Russians. Generally, accent was made on the fact that people in Mauwy talk Russian and Ukrainian, and it doesn't make any difference. And it's not even Russian, it's Harkovsky. But it does make a difference. According to the words of Ukrainian journalist Rovitchuk, the Ukrainian nation may be the only which has been oppressed in its own country on linguistic, cultural, and historical grounds. This is referred to in Fifth Universal. So, for hundreds of years, Ukrainians were depressed, tortured, and killed. Our history was changed. They're trying to impose other languages, other cultures. And the most terrible thing is that it's still continuing. And what a girl who was born in Lugansk and was living there, till the Russian aggression in 2015 ruined my peaceful life and childhood. After all of these years of bloody and cruel fighting, what do I see? That it makes no difference, and in this movie it shows as a normal thing? But you know who benefits from the phrase? It doesn't make any difference. Also Russia. Turning to the episode, when the Ukrainian soldier discovering that they are, as Ukrainian soldiers, don't have to be as cruel as Russian troops, because then they will get down to the aggressor's level. And the other episode, when the Ukrainian soldier killed a dog in a slow and brutal way, with 9 or even more shots, and said, sorry, it was just self-defense. And when this question was raised in the discussion part, the directors explained this moment as a selection of 1 second, and this dog turned to a wild beast, and 9 shots. The dog was running and whined in pain, and the soldier was running after it, and shot. But why did they show it to us in the movie? Why the image of the Ukrainian soldier showing exactly like this, when this particular case is an exception? But the directors pay attention on an element of Russian propaganda to defame an honor of Ukrainian soldier. Because such cruelty is unrelated to our defenders. On the contrary, they save animals, they treat them. Animals are their lesser friends, and there are many confirmations. But the interposition of Russian propaganda elements is easily to explain if you ask, who is the director? The film was made by cinematographer and director Yevhen Titarenko and author and director Vitaly Mansky. About the last one in more detail. That's what I found about him in the Ukrainian Pravda newspaper. The Russian documentary filmmaker Vitaly Mansky was one of those who filmed the first election campaign of Vladimir Putin. He turned after with the camera the little-known FSB officer with a caricature appearance. Today, due to criticism of the permanent rule of the Russian Federation, condemnation of the annexation of Crimea and the war in Donbass, he is forced to live in Riga. What? How this Russian documentary filmmaker became an author and director of the Ukrainian movie about the war on the territory of Ukraine? I think it makes my point more than just comprehensible. And what about Yevhen Titarenko, who went to war in 2014 as a volunteer soldier? Until nowadays he is a paramedic. What about him? Why did he accept this? Because as for me, in the film they didn't show much about what they were doing, except of being delusional in conversation and constant obscene language. Why are those who praised Putin yesterday? Today, I'm making film about us Ukrainians and presenting it to an European audience as a Ukrainian reality, when there is a struggle for the survival of Ukrainian nation. Don't you think that's strange? Because my answer is evident.